Welcome to week 7 of the Not Almost There podcast. Today's guest is former U.S. Navy SEAL J.P. Dinnell. You will hear a bit about J.P. when the conversation gets started, so I'll just give you the short version of this episode. I met J.P. a few years back and was immediately struck by his confidence. He's one of these guys you meet that you know will succeed at whatever he puts his mind to. You will hear how his refusal to even think about failure got him through BUD/S and is helping him lead Echelon Front with the legendary Navy SEALs Jocko Wilnik and Leif Babin. We chat about how he got into the SEALs, which is a super interesting story in itself, his confidence and where it comes from, qualities of a leader in both military and civilian life, how to refocus if you get off track, leveling up. And one of the quotes that he brings to the table is, change your friends or change your friends. And you'll just have to listen to the episode to understand what that means. But it's super interesting and very relevant. And of course, we talk about so much more. But before we get to the episode, I wanted to thank you for listening. To support this show, please follow or subscribe on however you are absorbing this content. I'd love it if you can leave a review as well. Now for the show, I'm excited for you to meet J.P. Dinnell. Today on Not Almost There, I have J.P. Dinnell. J.P. Dinnell is a former U.S. Navy SEAL and is now a leadership instructor and speaker with Echelon Front, where he serves as the director for tactical training programs. He brings exceptional experience and frontline leadership perspective into winning mindset and culture of Task Unit Bruiser. He serves as the director of tactical training, as stated, and is a speaker, strategic advisor for Echelon Front. And knowing his story and hearing his story, he's overcame a ton of adversity in his life, including a speech impediment when he was younger and many other things. But one of the things that I found super intriguing immediately as you went to the recruiting station to try out for, or to talk to the recruiters about BUD/S, you had some adversity right there in that moment. Can you take me back there and talk about what happened then?
Yeah, I was in my senior year of high school getting ready to graduate. My dad had asked me what I was going to do when I was going to graduate. I didn't really have a good idea or good plan, and he kind of directed me towards the military, just reminded me of the fact that I'd always kind of wanted to join the military ever since I was a young boy. And put that thought back in my mind. I was at work, and then I took my lunch break to go across the street to talk to the Navy recruiting office. I had a cast on my hand. I'd gotten in a fight at a party and ended up breaking, some bones in my hand and my wrist, and fractured my wrist. And so I was in a cast and I didn't think anything of it. Go in the recruiting office, and this is before 9/11, and recruiters are trying to be hard asses and intimidating, and asked me what I was doing in there, what I wanted. Just trying to set. I don't know why they used to do that. I guess it's like the whole old school mentality of like trying to intimidate somebody out of coming into the military. Anyways, I didn't mind it. They asked me what I wanted to do or what I was in there to do, and I told them I wanted some information on joining the Navy, wanted to become a Navy SEAL, and they all laughed. I just remember they all laughed at me in there, and I was like, okay, check. And I remember this older senior chief told me, he said, there's two things, young man. One, the Navy won't touch you with that cast on your hand. They're not going to, we can't do anything. We can't start the process. The Navy won't start the process with that cast on your hand. And the Navy SEAL wannabe recruiter won't be back for another 2 days. There's a Tuesday that I was in there. He said, so if you want to come back on Thursday, you can talk to Petty Officer Garrett. I said, okay, thank you. Got some information, basic information from them, some pamphlets, marketing material. And I go back to work, and I'm just sitting at the register because I had the cast on. I couldn't deal with the food or anything at this pizza place I worked at. And I just remember looking across the street and looking at the recruiting office and thinking about everything that I thought I knew about the military at the time because I'd done my research and read books and read survival field manuals and handbooks from old Vietnam vets that I got in at garage sales and grandparents and family members that I talked to that were in the military. And I just made the decision. I remember standing there at the register deciding, hey, you know what, that's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to do it. And I went back home and I talked to my dad and I asked, or he asked me how my day at work was, and I said it was good. And I said, hey, I want to join the Navy to become a Navy SEAL, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And my dad was obviously very thrilled and excited. He's like, that's awesome. I said, yeah, but the Navy, they won't touch me. I guess I can't go in. I can't do anything with this cast on my hand. And my dad could tell, like I was a little frustrated, but I was just like talking with him, having that like conversation. And he said, well, how soon do you want to go? I said, as soon as possible. And my dad was excited because he wanted to capitalize on that because he didn't want me hanging out and just, going to parties and going to college for no reason because I didn't have a reason or a purpose or a desire to go to college. And there's nothing wrong with a good college education. I legitimately had no desire to go. I would rather have gone into a trade or learned a craft, and that's the route I would have rather have gone at the time. And then I decided I wanted to go in the military, and my dad knew that was a good thing and that was the best thing for me. And so he told me, hey, go in the bathroom, start soaking your cast in some warm water in the bathtub. He goes in the garage, gets some tools, comes in, and we cut my cast off. And it was cool. I don't recommend that to anybody when you have multiple fractures and breaks and you've only had a cast on for 11 days. It was not the smartest thing. I mean, I'm still kind of missing a knuckle there from that. And, there's just a lot of aches and pains with the hands over the years. But, I was just part of it. My dad knew that was something I had to overcome and deal with. And, I would, if I had to use my hand, I'd wrap it real tightly with my kickboxing hand wraps. And, that summer I worked construction for my dad, and we would wrap my hand with kickboxing hand wraps, and I'd grab a hammer and we would take athletic tape and duct tape and like tape it in there like it was part of like my cast. And that's how I would like try to work throughout the day with my dad. And, he was just pushing me mentally and physically to my limits every single day. And it was a great thing. And it was cool because after my dad cut my cast off, being able to go back in that recruiting office 2 days later and them look at me when I walked in and they recognized me. And I remember that older senior chief recognizing me, and I walk in and he just like looks at my right hand and how there's not a cast anymore. And he just smiled, he nodded his head. He goes, Petty Officer Garrett's going to take care of you, young man. And then that just started the process for me to go into the military. And, just had to get past all that medical issues and, going into MEPS, and it was cool. It was like the first little step.
It's amazing. It's an amazing story, JP. So I know that, just listening to other people that have been in the SEALs, like it's not that easy. You don't just, you have to get accepted into the SEAL training or the ability to go to BUDS. How did that work? What was that process like?
Well, you have to, you take your ASVAB, which is like your military intelligence test. You score. It's like an IQ test type of thing. I don't know what it stands for. I can't remember. I'm sure somebody will, comment on this and tell us what it means. But I took my ASVAB and I scored pretty high, which was cool. And I had the ability to pick whatever job I really wanted in the regular Navy. And I remember them trying to have me go into the nuclear program. They're like, hey, you should go to the nuke program. You do real well here. You're going to be on a sub, send you to nuclear engineering school. And then, you can become an officer, and then you'll go to BUDS as an officer, and it'll be good. I was like, and they're like telling me all this stuff. I'm like, that's like 4 years. Like, I don't want to wait 4 years. And I have no desire to be a nuclear engineer. Like, I don't want to go through schooling for any of that. Like, yeah, okay, I scored high on my test, but I have no desire to do that. God bless the people that do, because that's awesome. We need that. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I made up my mind that I was going to be a Navy SEAL. And they're like, well, you just can't be a SEAL. You have to have a job in the Navy. And I said, okay, well, what jobs can I have that allows me to become a Navy SEAL? And there's like this list. At the time, they were called SEAL Source Ratings, meaning that if you had this job, it related somehow to you being in the SEAL teams. And it was, these are skill sets that would be good for being a SEAL. I was like, okay. And so I'm like looking through the list. And I'm like, well, what's this? What's this? And they're explaining it all to me. And they're like, hull technician. They're like, oh man, that's a real crappy job in the Navy. Like, their nicknames are turd chasers because they're like, cleaning out like the plumbing and unclogging toilets and making sure all the piping on and plumbing on the ships work. So all the, just everything. And they're down in the engineering compartments and it's super hot and it's loud. And, they're doing sheet metal work and welding and pipe fitting and pipe building, bending. And I'm like, they're doing welding? You learn how to weld? And they're like, yeah, you're like an expert welder if you're out in the fleet. And, the schooling is just like, that's it. Like you're learning to cut steel and pipes and bend them and weld and do sheet metal work and MIG and TIG and all that stuff. I'm like, so I'd be a good welder? And they're like, well, yeah. I said, I want that job. Like, what? Like, it's the worst job in the Navy. I said, I'm not going to do that in the Navy. I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. They're like, well, no, you don't get it. Like, if you have this job and you go to BUD/S and you quit, that's what you're going to do on a ship. I said, I know. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to BUD/S. And like, well, trying to talk me out of it. I remember getting pissed at my recruiter. I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. I don't care about the Fleet Navy. I'm not going there. I'm going to become a Navy SEAL. And the guy's like, okay, all right, cool, whole technician. So we started the process. And then there was like some other testing and then you have to be able to like pass the screen test, like the SEAL screen test before you can go in. My recruiter was like, hey, how are your numbers on all this stuff? And asked me. And I was like, oh, I could totally pass all that. He goes, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm a really good swimmer. I can run. I can do all that. Because I was running and doing push-ups and sit-ups. And I would go down by the lake. Down by the lake and the river in Sacramento in the Fair Oaks area. And I would run and I would swim in the river and I would practice doing breath holds. Like I'd hold my breath, go down the bottom of the river, and I'd pull myself upstream from the rocks that were at the bottom of it. And then I'd come up and I'd float down the rapids and I would do that again. And I was just getting myself comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So I knew I was like, man, yeah, I'm good. He never made me do the test. So the fact that I never took the screen test before I went, like he straight up lied. And I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know at the time, like, you had to, like, pass a screen test. He goes, so are you sure you're going to pass this when you get there? I said, yeah, absolutely. He goes, okay, cool. Because I guess they were supposed to be doing weekly screen tests with all the SEAL candidates and all the SWIC candidates, which is like the special boat operators and EOD. Like, all those guys are supposed to do the screen test once a week because they would get guys that would be sent there that couldn't pass it. And so like boot camp, it was like, hey, these guys got to be prepared before they come. And so I guess he falsified some documents and said that I was good to go, but whatever. Because when I showed up to boot camp, I remember the first week they came in to the barracks and it was all the SEAL recruiters and motivators, or they called them motivators. They weren't recruiters. All the SEAL dive motivators. And there were SEALs, EOD guys, and SWIC guys, which is like the boat guys, there as instructors. And they're like, everyone drop down. So everyone drops down in push-ups position. And they're like, all the SEAL wannabes, go and stand up. And there was a good amount of guys in my division that like wanted to do it. Or when they got to boot camp, they're like, hey, I think I want to do this. So all these guys stand up and I stayed in the push-up position. And so they're like going through the list of guys. And they're like, Dinnell. I was like, who ya? They're like, why'd you stand it up? I'm so young. You could just tell my arrogance, or not arrogance, but just confidence was extremely high. And they're like, why did you stand up? And I said, because I'm not a SEAL wannabe. I'm a SEAL gonna be. I'm going to be a SEAL. And they're like, push him out. And I'm like, okay. So I push him out. They're like, push him out again. I push him out again, which means like do push-ups, right? So push him out. You do, I think at boot camp was like 10 push-ups, super weak. Like push him out again. I'm like, okay. Like push him out again. I'm like, okay. Like I just keep doing this. Like we do like over 100 push-ups but they're only doing them in increments of 10. So it's, for me, it's like, bop, 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 rest. And then they're like, do it again. I'm like, okay. And finally, like, they got bored. And then, like, they try to make me do, like, flutter kicks and all this other stuff while everybody else is watching. And one of my recruit drill commanders, I called them RDCs, like, said something to the SEAL motivator. He's like, you ain't going to smoke my boy Dinnell. He's ready. And they're like, all right, we'll see. And so then we had the screen test. Or no, we went throughout our day. And it was cool because my RDC, recruit drill commander, our guy at boot camp, I was supposed to be on watch that night for like in the middle of the night, which is a real crappy time to be able to do it because it's broken sleep and you're going to bed late, wake up early, so you almost have no sleep. And he pulled me aside that night and he said, hey, are you going to pass the screen test tomorrow? I said, absolutely. Yes, petty officer. He said, okay. He goes, I think you're going to be the only one that does it out of all these guys. I said, okay. And I just remember that. I was like, okay. He goes, I'm gonna make sure somebody else covers your watch tonight. I want to make sure you get a good night's sleep. Make us proud. And I thought that was really cool because, most of the time in boot camp, they're just trying to be jerks and break you down and everything. But to me, that was like my first kind of example of good leadership because he saw potential and he knew, like, yes, his role as a recruit drill commander is to be strict, but it's also to prepare sailors to be prepared to go into the Navy. He's like, he's not in charge of a selection program. He's not trying to eliminate the weak. He's trying to prepare people. And so they completely hooked me up and like took care of me. And I remember they also wanted to put me in a position of leadership in boot camp, but they said because I was going to be at all the SEAL PTs in the morning, that I couldn't do that. And they're like, hey, we just want you to know, like, we actually wanted you to be in charge of this whole division, but we're going to give you another position of leadership that's like a little bit less important, but we wish you were going to be leading this, but we want you to be able to go to SEAL PT every morning to prepare you for going to BUDS. And I just remember I thought that was really cool at the time. And so anyways, I went to bed. I don't even know if I slept because I was so excited. Anyways, I should have stayed on watch and let other people sleep. But I went and did the screen test, and swim went well. I did really well in the swim. Like number one on that. Like came in really quick. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups were really good. And I just remember the first time I felt fatigue was during the run. But I was keeping such a good pace that I just told myself, like, hey, just even if you throw up, just keep running. You're still going to be okay. And I remember doing this lap. And as I came around this lap, I remember seeing like the sun rising and the American flag flying. And 9/11 had happened. Like 9/11 had happened my 6th day of boot camp. So it was like right after 9/11 had happened. I'm doing the SEAL screen test. And I just remember seeing the sunrise and that American flag just like waving. And it was just like, I remember I got the chills and I just, boom, just shut it off. Like whatever that little mental weakness that was creeping in my mind, I just remember shutting it off and then just picking up the pace. And I finished well on my run.
So how long was the run?
Just a mile and a half. It's not long. The SEAL screen test is not that bad. It's a 500-meter swim, max push-ups in 2 minutes, max sit-ups in 2 minutes, max pull-ups, and then a mile and a half run. And so it's not that bad. I mean, it's, guys do it just for like a good workout. But it's the stress and everybody there and it's early in the morning and people aren't used to doing all that stuff. But anyway, I just remember finishing the run as I'm coming down, like I'm like yelling out my name so that they can I'm like, Dinnell, and I find boom. And I just remember getting down that run. I'm kind of walking around. I had the biggest smile on my face. Like I just was so happy and I was on just cloud 9. I was just beyond excited. And that was like the first little step. And went through boot camp. Everything was good. I mean, it's Navy boot camp. It's not very difficult. Navy boot camp's not known for having the hard boot camp. That's, Marine Corps boot camp. They're legit. Army boot camp, it's hard. Navy and Air Force, we got it good. We know that. And so, I just go through boot camp, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was young. I liked the discipline. I liked the structure. I enjoyed the leadership challenges. I enjoyed the leadership that I learned from that were in the Navy. A guy by the name of Petty Officer Quick, and then Petty Officer Young. Man, I wish I could connect with those guys somehow, because it would be cool. Those guys were awesome, awesome leaders that I had. And then I graduated from boot camp, and I went into A school, which is your regular schooling for the Navy. Went through that boot camp. I graduated number one in my division and number three overall from all the divisions. And then in A school, I graduated number one. And then I went to Buds, and checked into Buds of April of 2002. I started with class 242, and I graduated with class 242. And there was about 222 guys on day one. And when I graduated, I believe I was one of 28 of those originals that started on day one that graduated.
It seems like you're the type of guy that never had a doubt in your mind that you wouldn't pass Buds, meaning like you were going to do it. Have you always had that confidence in your life? And what did that stem from?
Yeah, so I absolutely knew that I was going to be a Navy SEAL. And like, there was no question in my mind. I think that just was instilled into me from the belief in myself and my abilities that my parents instilled into me. My grandparents, my grandmother was big on prayer, and she would pray over the family every day, and she'd pray for individuals. And she always told me, she's like, Jeremiah, you're going to be a warrior. You're going to be a warrior for Christ. You're going to be a warrior. I don't know what that looks like, but that's what you're going to be. I've had that spoken to me since I was born, from my grandmother and my mother and my dad and other family members. And so the thought of going to war and being a warrior and being a soldier and serving my country is something that just always has been ingrained into me. It's something I've always wanted to do and felt called to do. And I feel like that is what God designed for me to do. And I've talked to a lot of people about that, and they're like, well, why'd you get out if that's what you feel? Like, they're like questioning that. I said, well, I also understand that that was a chapter of my life. And if you look at your life as a book, it has many chapters. And you need to understand when that chapter is done and when it's time to start writing your next chapter. And I was at the 12-year, almost at the 12-year mark when I got out. And I got out for my wife and kids. And at the time, that's what I needed to do. Now, I miss it every day. I think about it every day. I wish I was in combat every single day, because I like that. I enjoy it. I love the SEAL teams. I enjoy getting into gunfights. I was a machine gunner and a sniper. We got into a lot of gunfights in Ramadi. When I was a part of Task Unit Bruiser and we deployed to Ramadi, we started hunting enemy fighters and taking them out. And it was an awesome thing to be able to do. That was a chapter of my life. That was a section of my life that we did well. And I had to understand that you do these sections of your life well, but man, you got to keep pushing forward. Like, that's not the finish line. And I had to find a new mission. And when I got out of the SEAL teams, I struggled because I didn't have a defined new mission. Now, I understood that I had to take care of my family and provide for my family, and I got a job that I enjoyed and I learned from, and I made good money doing sales in a financial company because I'm coachable, I'm teachable, I'll outwork anybody. You just tell me what I need to do and why, I'll figure it out. And I'm really good at asking questions. If I don't know how to do something, I will ask you as many questions as I need until I can clearly understand what you need me to do. That's one thing I learned from the SEAL teams, and is how to effectively communicate in order to get the job done. And so I was doing that, but it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't a mission that I needed to be doing. That wasn't actually my mission. And I feel like I am designed to serve. And I think a lot of service members, when they get out, they struggle because they don't have a defining mission anymore. And they're just wandering. They're trying to make things happen, but there's no clear path for them to go down to make those things happen. And that's not just for military, that's for law enforcement, for first responders, that's for professional athletes, that's for collegiate athletes. I mean, think about it. It's for a human being. You go through college, you get a degree, what's next? Nothing's nothing's guaranteed. Nobody owes you shit in life. And that's the problem with society is people feel, well, I did this and this, I should be getting this. No. No, nobody owes you anything. You have to work for it. You have to earn it. You have to take it and keep it by your actions, by your work ethic, by doing the right thing, by serving people and putting them first. And I was struggling with that, and it wasn't until I decided, like, hey, I need to start my own business. And I was doing consulting kind of on the side. I was helping people with management and leadership issues, and I was doing some team building events. And I said, this is what I need to do, and I started doing it, and I loved it. But I didn't properly plan that exit, and I made an emotional decision. And I was riding the struggle bus financially for a while. Had some good relationships and some bad relationships with different people that I was helping out their companies, and some great people that I learned from. I had a buddy down in Alabama that had a training facility that he was wanting to get up and running, and was able to help out a little bit with that. And I didn't do what I was supposed to do because it was actually one of those times where I failed to communicate properly and ask clarifying questions, and I was just kind of waiting to be told what to do instead of, because I was intimidated by who he was in business and the success that he had. And I was just kind of like, hey, waiting for him to tell me what to do, but he was waiting for me to take action and lead and build out some stuff. And so we just, it came to the point where he was like, hey, I just don't think this is a good fit. And I was like, okay. And I was pissed and I blamed him, and I made it seem like he screwed me over for a while in my mind, and then as I was able to detach my emotions and really think about it, I was like, yeah, no, that's actually 100% my fault. Like, that's 100% my fault. I should have, maintained good conversations with him. I should have built a better relationship. I should have asked better questions so that I had clarifying, and defining roles and responsibilities. And if I would have done that, I would have done well. Um, I was an extra in Transformers, which was cool. Being able to play, I played a Navy SEAL in
Oh,
Transformers
I didn't know
Five.
that. What Transformers was it?
Transformers Five,
Oh, sweet.
yeah. And then I had the opportunity to start working with Jocko and Leif, and they brought me on board as their first leadership instructor. And to see the progression and growth with them has been humbling to see where we've been able to grow and grow into. And I was just an instructor at the beginning, giving keynotes here and there, and maybe a workshop
That was
to
probably when I
the
first
last.
met you.
Yeah,
Probably right around the
yeah.
same time.
Okay, probably, yeah, because that was like December of 2016 was my first event. And then 2017, I actually started doing some events. And then 18 got pretty busy. And then I built out so it's not called the tactical training programs anymore. It's actually now experiential leadership training because we've grown and evolved it. Because it was something that we saw that there was a need for people to kind of feel and grasp our leadership training at a deeper level. We have an event. We've been doing it for the corporate side where a company can bring us in and we'll conduct these field training exercises with their team of leaders. And it's pretty cool. So you have your group, and we put together some missions, and your group will be put in different positions of leadership. They'll get an intel brief, and then they'll go conduct some missions, and they go conduct these capture kill missions against our role players. And we come back and we debrief the mission, and we take the lessons that we learned from those missions and apply it to your personal and professional lives, and give you plans of action to go forward with on implementing these lessons. You do that for a full day, and we saw a demand and a need for it on the individual side. So let's say if you have a small company or a smaller budget for training, well, you can't bring us on board for all your people or a large group of them, but you want to send yourself or a small group of people. And that's why we designed FTX 001. So it's similar to the musters that we do, which are 2-day leadership events. But the FTXs are for individuals and small groups. And FTX 001 is going to be December 15th and 16th in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it's going to be 2 full days of scenario-based leadership training, working directly with Jocko, Leif, myself, Cody, and our FTX team. And it's limited to 30 people. So the value is incredible. It's a small group, 30 people or less, in 2 full days working with Jocko, Leif, myself, and another instructor.
Is that open right now for people to sign up?
Yes, it's currently open right now for people to sign up. It's going to sell out. I don't know how quickly these podcasts get out there, but if somebody goes to our website, echelonfront.com, and clicks on services, FTXs, you'll have the info. If this one sells out quickly, we might open up another 2 days of it that same week, or what we're going to do for sure that I know is FTX 002 is going to be in July, and then we'll have FTX 003 in September, and those will be in 2 different regions. So,
and those are obviously next year, right? 2000.
No, this year.
Oh, July this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have 3.
So when's the first one? I thought you said the first one was December.
Did I say December? No, it's March 15th and 16th.
March 15th. Okay.
I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. So March 15th and 16th.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's been the progression, man, is that we've grown to where, we're doing a lot of advising and strategic advising with clients. We have long range leadership development plans that Dave Burke has been creating and developing with all of our clients. And we've been able to switch and be versatile. And we're able to conduct all of our training, except for the hands-on training. Obviously, that has to be in person, virtually. And it's been awesome. The impact, the program that Dave has designed and created for clients to go through is absolutely incredible.
So I have a burning question about leadership. You've been around, obviously, leaders. You are a leader in the battlefield, and now you're around business leaders. What do you find that's a commonality on those two things? And what are some leadership lessons that you've seen on the business side that apply to the battle side and vice versa?
Yes, so there's a direct correlation between, leadership capabilities in every organization. Okay. Instead of me asking, I'll just tell you, when we talk with individuals and clients and companies and groups, we say the most important characteristic of a good leader is humility. Good leaders have to be humble. They have to be able to check their ego. They have to be able to subordinate their ego. They have to be able to listen to the input of other people around them. They have to be able to detach from their emotions so that they can assess their plan. They can assess somebody else's plan. They can assess and listen to the guidance of other people above them, below them, their peers. That's what a good leader is able to do. And that's because they're humble. The most important skill set of a good leader is communication. And so it doesn't matter if you're in a gunfight, if you're in training, if you're managing a hedge fund, if you're a doctor in the operating room, if you are the front desk admin at a nutritional company. It doesn't matter what you do. You have to be able to communicate with people. And leadership is not a title. Leadership is your ability to influence those around you to be able to get the job done and accomplish the mission. Now, leadership doesn't mean that you're a good person either, because there's good leaders and bad organizations, and that's what we saw overseas. These insurgent fighters that we were going up against, that we were battling and actually, having a difficult time defeating, had good leaders. They had good leadership, and leadership makes a difference in every organization, good or bad. And so if somebody has the ability to communicate, if somebody has the ability to show humility and listen and subordinate their ego, they're going to lead. And it doesn't matter what they do. And they can lead up the chain of command, they can lead down the chain of command, they can lead across to their subordinate leaders in different departments and divisions, as long as they have the ability to do those two things.
What do you see to get someone like back in shack that you have maybe has all those tools, but they're going off the rails? They're reacting to something, right? I'm sure that you could have such a level head as a leader, and then all of a sudden something happens and it triggers you. Have you've had to see that happen? What's advice that you can give someone to kind of get back on track?
Um, yeah, that's a great question, and that just to me that tends to happen when people become out of alignment with their balances of their life. And that comes down to prioritize and execute. So prioritize and execute is the third law of combat that we teach. And when problems arise, you have to solve them. And when problems arise, you have to actually identify what the problems are, what their level of importance are, and what needs to be handled right then and there. And what's your capabilities? Are you even able to solve that problem by yourself? Because if you can, go do it. Work on it. If you can't, get a team that can. And sometimes your problems are not the priority, because what you have to be able to do is check your ego and understand the overall mission, and understand that maybe somebody else's priorities are more important than your priorities at that current time. And if that's the case, then you need to help that individual get with what they have going on. It's just, as when an individual falls out of line with the mission, falls out of line with getting stuff done, it's usually because there's a lack of understanding in regards to how important what they need to be doing is, and there's a lack of understanding of their progress and or where they are in the phases of getting what they have done.
When you were going through buds, and now I'm sure you see when you talk to organizations, um, people may just be at their breaking point and they may want to quit. And I know you are like, when your mindset on something, it's clear and obvious. You're running through it. Have you seen, or what do you tell people that are on that breaking point that want to quit something, or even going back to buds when you had peers? Are you able to talk someone out of something like that if their mind is maybe not set, but they're struggling, right? And then maybe they're starting to feed themselves some self doubt. What are
So going
recommendations
through
you have?
buds, I don't think I try to talk anybody out of quitting, because that's a different situation. Like, this is a selection program for you to be a Navy SEAL, where quitting is not an option on the battlefield. Quitting is not an option in combat. And if you quit, you get somebody else killed. So if somebody already has that in their mindset in a controlled training environment, that they want to quit because they're uncomfortable, bye. I never once tried to stop anybody from that, because that was already their mindset. They wanted to take the easy route. And my mindset then was like, oh, I don't want somebody on the team that's going to take the easy route. Now, on the civilian side, and the interactions that I've had with people in business and in sports, and different coaching opportunities that I've had, and mentoring opportunities I've had with athletes and individuals and companies, yeah, you have to understand the situation that you're in, the environment that you're in, the environment that they're in, and explain to them and say, hey, yeah, you're struggling right now. That's okay. People struggle in life. I understand how you feel, because I felt the same way before. What I found out is boom, 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 right? There's a technique called the feel, felt, found. And when you're talking with somebody, it allows you to tie in experiences that you've had to what they're currently doing, so that you can have a conversation and break it down and explain to them, like, hey, you're going to get through this. You're going to be able to push through it. And one of the things that we do when we're talking is we explain the Battle of Ramadi and how just overwhelming it was, and how people were telling us, hey, this is an unwinnable situation. You guys aren't going to win. You shouldn't go there. Don't go into that place, right? Everybody was telling us Ramadi was all but lost. we didn't buy into that. We believed in our leadership and we believed in our ability to get the job done. And, I was fully bought in because I trusted my leadership. I loved my leadership. I would do anything for them. Not everybody on our team was fully engaged at that level. So our leadership, when we got there, they told us the truth before we got there about how bad it was. But when we got there, they were very clear as to what the deployment was going to be like and how risky those missions were going to be and how tired and worn out and exhausted we were going to be and how we would probably lose some of our guys. That was the reality. And they said, if you guys don't want to be a part of this, that's fine. Don't be a part of it. But if you want to be a part of it, here's what we're going to do. Here's why we're going to do it. How do you guys want to get the job done? And then as we're conducting these missions, you have to remind guys why they're doing something to keep them in the fight, to keep them inspired, to keep them motivated, to keep them driven. So there's a time and place to give the realities to people and let them make their own decisions. But there's also a time and place to encourage people to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep pushing, to get back in the game when they've been knocked down, when life just threw them a curveball and just completely devastated them. You pick them back up. You encourage them. You speak belief into them. You let them know what they're capable of and what they've done well and why they're doing what they're doing and how they've made an impact. And then you get them back in the game. You push them back in the game and you go link arms with them and you push forward and you fight. There's a balance to everything. There's a dichotomy to everything. There's a time and place to say, hey, if you don't want to do what we're doing, bye. And then there's a time and place to say, no. You're not quitting. We're going to do this together. This is why. This is how we're going to do it. Let's get to work. And then you make sure that they push forward.
I've heard you talk about leveling up. I think that is such a good lesson for people to understand, like who you surround yourself with, or if you want to get better during, to do various things in life, you need to kind of surround yourself with people that are going to level you up. How has leveling up affected you in terms of when you came out of the military and where you're at now? And I know you have a jiu-jitsu practice as well that you've been working on quite a bit.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to learn from one of my best friend's dad when I was still in the military. I heard him speak at a business training that I was at. He said, you have to change your friends or change your friends. Meaning if the people you're around are negative and they make excuses and they're not getting what they need out of life and they're just not trying to push hard, they're just that negative little group of people that we all know. There's always something bad going on in their lives. There's always an excuse. There's a woe is me, blah, blah, blah. Life is so unfair to them all the time. You change those people. You change their mindset. You change their attitude. You change their perspectives, or you change the friends, right? You change who you hang out with. You change who you spend time with, because your reflection, for the most part, are the people that you spend time with, or the people that you focus on and listen to and try to emulate. And so when I was able to meet successful business people, it helped me level up my mindset. It didn't change my life right away. That comes over time. That comes over you putting in years of hard work and discipline. But what it changed was my mindset initially, to where I believed, oh, you know what? If they're able to do this, I can do that too. That's achievable. This is how I'm going to do it. And it would inspire me to think different and act different. And then working with Jocko and Leif, it's kind of hard not to be inspired daily with what we do, because we're working with unique individuals all across the world, and there's an opportunity for me to learn from every single one of them. And that's what I love, is the opportunity that I get every single day to talk with interesting people, to learn from the backgrounds, to learn what they're doing, to learn why they're doing it, how they're doing it, what makes different people tick, what was their contributing factors to their success, what did they fail at. And it's really cool because the leadership principles that we teach at Echelon Front, the laws of combat, cover and move, simple, prioritize and execute, decentralized command. I've been doing this for over 4 years, and I've spoken with companies all across the world. These 4 laws of combat, these principles that we teach, apply to every individual, to every organization and unit out there. And they work. And all the problems that people have out there are unique, but at the same time, they're not unique and they're not different. And we have the ability to solve them all by individuals understanding the principles and concepts of extreme ownership.
Right on. I know now or recently you just finished 75 hard. I don't know if it was phase 1 or what part of 75 hard, which is, for those that don't know, pretty regimented, rule-based program, and a lot of it's mental. I finished it as well, and I thought it was fantastic the way it was outlined. But that makes me think of something I heard you say also: is discipline is rooted in the truth of what we tell ourselves, and I think Jocko said that, and you repeated that, and it reminds me of 75 hard. What have you learned from that program?
Yes, 75 hard is a mental toughness program that my buddy Andy Frisella started. And people can go to 75hard.com and just learn more about it. I tell everybody, hey, get the book. Even if you're not going to do the program, get the book. You're going to learn a lot from that book. And if people apply some of those principles daily, they're going to be in a better situation, But I really enjoyed 75 hard. I'm actually in phase 1, which is, you do it after the first 75 hard. So you do 75 hard, you start phase 1. It's the same thing as 75 hard, but you just add more things.
Like some cold showers?
Yeah, 5-minute cold shower, 8 critical tasks, and what's the other thing? Like I'm drawing by. That's why I have the app. I follow the app, right?
It's a meditation visualization.
Oh, yeah, geez, yeah. The 10 minutes of visualization each day. And so, dude, that's the one I struggled with at the beginning. I was like, man, for me to sit for 10 minutes and just focus on one thing, that's difficult, man. Now, the drinking a gallon of water a day, that's still rough. I know it's beneficial. I know it's good for you, and I actually enjoy that I do it. Following the diet was good. 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside. Reading 10 pages a day. 75 hard was great. It's well designed. The takeaways that I took from 75 hard was getting back to being balanced and effective with switching my mindset from strategic to tactical and from tactical to strategic. Just being able to flow back and forth between your day-to-day battles and the long-term mission that I'm trying to accomplish, and mapping stuff out and planning and preparing ahead of time, and eliminating excuses and being effective with my time. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outside. I have to be looking at the weather. I have to look ahead for travel and pack accordingly. And you can't do the workouts back to back. So it's not like you can just say, hey, I'm going to do one workout and do the next one back to back. I'm done. Like, no, they have to be spread out to make it even more difficult. So just being able to look and balance things out. And that quote that Jocko told me, discipline is rooted in the truth that we tell ourselves. It was January of 2020. We were in Half Moon Base talking with a client. We were just talking through some stuff. And for me, that was just an understanding and the realization that, I've been lying to myself too much and making things that I should be doing seem like, that's not a big deal. And because I would make myself feel better about why I wasn't going to do something, but that was a lie. And because I was not telling myself the truth, there was no discipline and accountability for my diet, for my working out, for my relationship with my wife, my relationship with the kids. Just all that stuff was suffering because I was only focused on what I was doing with Echelon Front and delivering good stuff and content for Echelon Front, which is great, but there needs to be a balance. If everything else in my life falls apart because Echelon Front is super squared away, then I'm not going to have Echelon Front, because when everything else falls apart in my life, then Echelon Front is going to be no longer an option for me. And so I had to find balance. And honestly, 75 Hard helped me switch my mindset and my thinking back to balance, execution, no excuses.
Yeah, the same thing happened for me. I was growing my business, and we got to 500 employees, and I was completely out of shape, neglected everything. There was zero balance, and over the last year, it's been better. But 75, I really accelerated it, and especially the no drinking part of it. I haven't went 3 or 4 days since I was 17 years old to not drinking
no
alcohol.
Yeah, because you have to stick to a diet and no alcohol.
Yeah,
That's been good for me too, obviously.
yeah,
Honestly, I wasn't really, I haven't been much of a drinker since I started working with Jocko and Leif, because that's not what we do. So, and I'm gone
yeah.
all the time on the road with clients, and we don't drink with clients. So
Exactly. It's leveling up. You're around people that don't do
exactly.
it. It's the same thing now. Now with me, I'm not around people that drink all the time. So I'm not drinking. I don't even really think about it or miss it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's the other thing, that's switching over to where people are like, oh, it's not a big deal, just have a drink. It's not a big. Yeah, actually, it is. It is a big deal, because I told you I don't want to do it. And if you can't understand why I'm not going to drink and why it's my choice not to drink and that it's important to me, yet you're still going to be a jerk and keep pushing it, then I probably don't need to be spending time around you, because you're not going to be the person that's going to encourage me to be disciplined and go and build a successful business. You're not going to be the one that's, feeding that positive stuff into my life for my family and for what I need to be doing on the business. If somebody can't get over the fact that you're not going to drink, I mean, that's an indicator to me. It's like, okay, well, I don't need to be spending time with you, because I'm not at the point where I'm just trying to get hammered and drink the weekends away. I want to be working. I want to be productive. I want to build relationships. I want to build a network. I help out with kind of building out stuff for Origin and Jocko Fuel. And I have a signature energy
I
drink.
was going to mention that. Cool. Yeah, congratulations, Sour Apple Sniper.
Yeah, thank you. And so it's like, hey man, I've got enough stuff on my plate. I don't need to be wasting time getting hammered on the weekends.
Yeah, you're drinking your drink, not alcohol, man. That's awesome. How's that feel, by the way? That you have an energy drink,
bro?
JP.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's insane.
I dig
that's
it. Incredible.
It's cool.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, and it just comes from what we were just talking about, is leveling up, right? Changing the people you hang out with, changing the mindset that you have, changing your actions. I wouldn't be in the situation I was in if I wasn't spending quality time with Jocko and Leif and Pete and Brian over at Origin and Jocko Fuel, and having conversations and learning about what they're doing and how they're doing things and how I can help. And I wouldn't have that opportunity. I just wouldn't have that opportunity.
No, totally. So one of the things, I know we're going to wrap up in a second here, that I noticed is you work out with your wife a lot, and I work out with mine, and I feel like that's such a huge part of our day together. We start off the morning, we work out together at 5:30, and we're both on the same programs. Do you find that to be really important in your life as well?
Yeah. So we actually don't work out with each other as much as it seems. I know it seems like that because we both post and share stuff and tag each other. But we still work out with each other more than most people do. So I guess maybe we do. I don't know. For me, I don't feel like it's a lot. But as I said that, I was like,
you're also a Navy SEAL, though.
I was like, but it is probably a lot compared to other people. They're like, I've never even gone on a walk with my wife. Okay, well, that's a problem. You should probably do that. Yeah, I think it's important because, we keep each other accountable. We keep each other focused. And it's fun. It's quality time. And what people fail to do is prioritize quality time with their loved ones when they're building a business. And when they're, just getting heavy into the business side of what they do. If you don't take the time to, take the time for your family, you're going to lose it. You have to make it a priority.
So I also know that Echelon Front has some new online courses.
Yes.
Are you
Yeah.
an instructor in those as well?
I am. I am. So we have something called EF Online, and somebody can go to efonline.com to get more information and sign up. But it's our online leadership platform. We created that so that people can watch videos, take tests, progress along. We're building out a certification program to where people can actually be certified facilitators of our training within their organizations. We have train the trainer programs, and the goal is to get all of our stuff credited. So, how people take, where it's equivalent to kind of like a college degree, or where they're taking all these hours of just leadership development training and education, and they come to an FTX, they come to a muster, they're checking off all these like things, and they're proficient and they understand the principles. That's something that people are going to be able to use, and grow within our organization as well. And so it starts with EF Online. It's cool because the members of EF Online, they have the ability to attend 3 live training sessions a week, and that's with Jocko, Leif, myself, and other instructors. So on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, middle of the day, there's a live leadership training that we do with Q&A, and then all those are recorded and uploaded. So if you can't attend one of those because just your work schedule or your day schedule, then you can watch the recording later on. We have these different like programs that you can go through, all these foundational courses. There's like primer videos that you can watch each day, leadership questions each day that you can go through. And there's a thing called the Brigade. It's like a combination of Facebook and LinkedIn, where it's only for our users, where they can actually talk and facilitate different leadership problems that's going on and help each other solve their problems real time. So it's pretty incredible.
That is very cool, and I'd encourage everyone, no matter what you're doing, to put in your earbuds and jump onto something like that, because you can always be learning. There's
Mm-hmm.
always time to be learning, and people that say they don't have enough time, it's just not true. Whether you're in the supermarket or you're
Yep.
doing chores, like put on your earbuds and learn. And to learn from you, Jocko, and Leif is incredible. So
Yeah.
that's great. Well,
There's no excuses as to us not being able to learn or get stuff done.
yeah,
People are like, I don't have the time. My big thing I've been telling people is, yeah, you do have the time. It's just not a priority of yours. So instead of saying, I don't have the time, switch it up and say, it's not a priority of mine. And it really forces you to think about what you're saying. Like, so if you're getting ready to say, like, I don't have time to go to my kid's soccer game, it's not a priority to go to my kid's soccer game. Ooh, I don't have time to take my wife out on a date this week. It's not a priority to take my wife out on a date this week. I don't have time to
ooh, I like
read
that.
10 pages in a day. It's not a priority of mine to read 10 pages in a day. We have time for whatever we want to do. It's just whether you make it a priority.
I tell my team that all the time. I'm like, if you're working 12, 14 hours, just, you know, or, some feedback I would get is wake up, work out. Like, I want you to take care of yourself first and foremost. Well, I'm working, blah, blah. I'm like, then wake up a half hour earlier, or skip an extra half hour of work and put that time into working out. And I guarantee you'll be more productive.
Oh, dude, I have my best days when I get one of my workouts done in the morning. My best days every time. And I know I'm more productive.
Yep. So March 15th to the 16th, it's probably going to sell out by the time this airs, but FTX, keep an eye on it. Uh,
Yeah.
Echelon Front has a new website. And more importantly than all that, go get the sour apple sniper drink at your local
Yes.
store or order it online. I don't think it's at the stores yet, is it? Because I tried to find it.
So they're at vitamin shops.
So
They're
they
at the
sold out of your
Wawas.
flavor. I was at Vitamin
Yeah.
Shop to pick
Okay.
it up. Yeah,
Okay.
nice.
So the Wawas out on the East Coast have them. And if somebody goes to originmain.com,
Yep.
they can use the code American Made and they'll save 10%. And they can order anything. You just click on nutritional, it brings you over to Jocko Fuel page. And if they get a subscription, they get free shipping. So you get free shipping plus 10% off if you just do like a monthly subscription on the products. So it's a pretty good deal.
I have 4 in my fridge right now. It's
Nice.
awesome. And
I'm getting ready to go drink one after this.
Yeah. And good luck on the jiu-jitsu and everything. I'm on a
Thank
similar
you.
path. I'm my Misogi, my big goal for the year is to be in a tournament by the end of the year. And I don't know if that's smart or not, being 43 years old, but I'm going for it, man.
No, you should do it. Don't even overthink it. It's going to be fun. You'll do fine. You'll do great. And, you're going to learn a lot from it. There are a lot of high-level jiu-jitsu black belts that say competing adds about 6 months to your jiu-jitsu game when you're a lower level belt.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's and it definitely makes you humble, which is the number one thing that we talked about today is humility.
Yep. Absolutely. It's a humbling experience, but it's something that we should all do. So that's awesome. Hey, I appreciate, again, you having me on, and everybody that's listening, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends, leave a review. If you guys want to follow me on social media, it's at JP Dinnell on everything, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But I just appreciate the opportunity to be on this podcast. And I feel like we have a lot more to talk about, so maybe we'll have to do this again in the future, my brother.
We do. Hey, JP, thanks a lot, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you for listening to this episode with JP Dinnell and the Anonymous Third podcast. You can support the show by following us and leaving a review. Please subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Audible, wherever you may be listening to this, and also leave a comment. My mission is to make every weekly episode better than the last. Your feedback is so appreciated. From that feedback, I am doing that. Case in point, this ending here. I knew that was a bit lacking from the previous episodes. Bottom line, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and I want to prove it to you because I'm big on action versus talking. So if you made it this far, go to notalmostthere.com/made it. So /MADEIT, no spaces, and I will send you a free t-shirt while supplies last. Lastly, please remember, no matter where you're at in your life, you have so much more potential. You, we, me, we are not almost there.